This 49ers Ravens game had me so excited because a lot of people were saying how these were two of the best teams in the NFL, 1 seed versus 1 seed, potential Super Bowl preview, and I was incredibly disappointed with the way this game went. I mean, the Ravens came, saw, and they conquered. All right, and I went with the Ravens to win this game for one person and one person only, and that was Lamarvelous. And for all you guys who keep on saying that Lamar Jackson can't throw, Lamar Jackson is a running back, those jokes aren't funny anymore. Give this man Lamar Jackson his respect. And it's funny how now all of a sudden, the whole entire national media wants to hop on the Lamar Jackson fan club like they weren't just saying how he was overrated and how he wasn't that good a couple of months ago. I see how people have changed their tone. Shannon Sharp. I mean, Lamar Jackson tonight showed the whole entire NFL world why he is the, without a question, front runner to win NFL MVP. It doesn't matter about stats. If you watch the game, you would know that Lamar Jackson was not only the best player on the Ravens, but he was the best player on the field in this matchup. And it wasn't even close. He was running around, extending plays, picking up yards with his legs. If I was a defensive coordinator having to call plays against Lamar Jackson, I would be incredibly annoyed against this dude. Because anytime you got the wide receivers covered, Lamar Jackson buys time to get guys open. And then when you think that you have completely no room for anybody to get open, this dude is picking up first down with his legs on 3rd and 16. There was one run that he had before halftime that led to the Ravens getting a field goal where it was 3rd and 16. He moves outside the pocket, nobody's open, and this dude is making guys miss, picking up yards with his legs. He's been the best quarterback in the NFL this year. Fuck what the stats say. If you watch these games, Lamar Jackson will obviously fit the definition of what it means to be the most valuable player in the National Football League. The last 2 seasons, the Ravens have been in contention for the 1 seed, but the only difference has been Lamar Jackson getting injured in the second half of the previous 2 seasons. But when he's been healthy, the Ravens are always in that conversation to have the best record in the AFC conference. The 49ers, the majority of America, picked these boys to get it done. And it mainly was because of how good their defense looks on paper, how great Brock Purdy has played. And we didn't see none of that tonight. Okay, or last night, excuse me. I mean, that 49ers defense, outside of the pass rush, that secondary is Swiss cheese. That secondary couldn't stop none of these wide receivers in this game. And when their pass rush isn't able to get consistent pressure on the quarterback, their secondary gets exposed. Ambry Thomas got exposed. Travarius Ward has been getting exposed all season long. You had some questionable calls from the referees on this defense. Some of them I agree with. Some of them I was like, you could have went without calling that. But this defense had penalties. They had some pass interference calls, some holding penalties. This secondary against these Ravens wide receivers, they just weren't able to get any key stops. Or they weren't able to stop the bleeding in a sense. And this addition of hiring Todd Monken in the offseason has to be one of the most crucial staff hirings this season. Because Lamar Jackson has taken Lamar Jackson, who already was one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and made him damn near unstoppable. The receivers are covered. It doesn't matter. Lamar Jackson's going to pick it up with his legs. Oh, you want to slow down Lamar Jackson, force him to beat you from inside the pocket? He's going to tear you to shreds. This offensive line played one of their best games of the whole entire season. The 49ers pass rush struggled all night. Like, this is the best performance that the Ravens have had out of their offensive line when it comes to pass protection all season. Their offensive line has been amongst the best in the NFL. And we don't have a lot of truly elite offensive lines in the NFL this season. There's probably only about 3 or 4 teams that you can truly say have a great offensive line, and the Ravens are definitely one of them. For the 49ers, this game was a reality check for them. And I was telling you guys for the last couple of weeks that the Ravens were the best team in the NFL. And, you overrated Lamar Jackson. The 49ers are so better than the Ravens. What made the 49ers better than the Ravens? Because there was nothing that the 49ers did prior to this game that made me feel like they had a big advantage over Baltimore. What? They beat the tar out of the Cowboys? And the Philadelphia Eagles? Okay, cool. The Ravens beat the crap out of the Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks at home. Well, JT, the 49ers are just so tough to beat at home. You do know that the Ravens only have one loss away from Baltimore this year? And what was even more crazy was all of the spicy comments that people are making about how San Francisco not only was going to beat Baltimore, but they were going to blow Baltimore out. How disrespectful can you be? Not just to the Marvelous, but to the talent of the Ravens. This is one of the most complete teams in the whole entire NFL. From a name perspective, there are a lot of guys on this Ravens defense and probably on the Ravens offense that the average fan probably doesn't know about. Like, do you know about Justin Madubuike, who is playing like an all-pro this year? Did you know that Jadeveon Clowney is having the best season of his whole entire NFL career? And this guy's been in the league since what? First got into middle school? The Baltimore Ravens in this game put out a masterclass performance. Not just when it comes to how they played on the field, but when it comes to the coaching staff as well. This looked like a absolute mismatch. Jim Harbaugh, Mike McDonald, Todd Monken were coaching circles around Kyle Shanahan's staff. Steve Wilkes had no answers for Baltimore's offense. Baltimore's passing attack did whatever they wanted to do all night against this 49ers secondary. And it was because the 49ers pass rush didn't show up. Offensively, Todd Monken, this dude is a revelation. And I hope that this dude doesn't take any head coaching jobs anytime soon. I don't think he's going to become a head coach. The dude is a little bit up there in age, but you never know. You're never too old to become a head coach in the National Football League. But the job that he's done with this Ravens offense has been phenomenal. All right, there is nothing that Baltimore can't do offensively. You take away the run game, because they didn't have any success too much on the ground in this matchup. They had under 100 yards rushing, but Lamar Jackson dissected this secondary. And then the defense, oh my goodness, they forced 4 interceptions on Brock Purdy. And I know that the narrative after this game is that Brock Purdy's overrated. He got exposed. Why can't we just give the Ravens defense props for being the best defense in the National Football League? Because statistically, they ranked number 1 in several categories, including points per game. Kyle Hamilton, when he was coming out of the draft, like a couple of years ago out of Notre Dame, I had him as a top 5 player that year. He can play in the box. He can play single high, double high safety. Like, people were questioning if Kyle Hamilton was just a Jamal Adams 2.0. Nobody really thought that he would be able to be a great safety if he had to play in the 2-high single safety kind of system that wasn't going to utilize him primarily in the box. But the Ravens defense, what they've done with him schematically, has really showcased his full skill set, his full ability. This dude is rangy. He's a great tackler when it comes to run support. He's also really fantastic in coverage. I don't think enough people realize just how good of a coverage safety Kyle Hamilton is. Yeah, he's lengthy and he may not strike you as a guy who's going to have quick hips and crazy change of direction. But this dude is a smooth operator at that safety spot. And he's a key piece to why this Ravens defense has been as good as what it's been this season. Brock Purdy, I don't think he got exposed too much. I just think that the 49ers ran into an avalanche Monday night. And that avalanche was the Baltimore Ravens. People seem to forget that the 49ers weren't the only team that was the most talented team in the NFL. Like, I think a lot of people are more surprised that the Ravens won this game than they are the 49ers losing. Like, there's people who don't even know how good the Ravens have been defensively this year, because everybody has been so enamored with Brock Purdy and the 49ers blowing out the Cowboys and the Eagles, who at one point, the majority of people out there believe that either the Eagles, the Cowboys, or the 49ers were the best team in the NFL at one point. And it's crazy how the NFL world and the NFL media just changes their opinions with the snap of a finger. One week, the 49ers were the best team in the NFL. A couple of weeks ago, it was either the Cowboys or the Eagles. And now the Ravens give the 49ers an L, and all of a sudden, everybody's claiming that Baltimore's the best team in the National Football League. But if you've been tuned in, you will know that for the last 2 months, I've been screaming how Baltimore was the NFL's best team. Not only are they balanced on offense, but they can stop the run. They can get after your quarterback. There's nothing that the Ravens can't do. My only problem with Baltimore is that sometimes their secondary does have a tendency to give up a couple of big plays here and there in the passing game. Outside of that, this team doesn't really have too many weaknesses. Yeah, they're still a team that their success on offense at times is predicated on how effective they can be running the football. But in this game, they showed you that they don't need the run game to be able to beat you. Lamar Jackson dissected Steve Wilkes' defense. The Ravens are going to make it out of the NFC. No team has a shot at beating Baltimore other than the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are playing some good football. I don't care if they almost lost to the Chargers. All right, you can't judge a team based on one-off performances. The Ravens have been beating some of the NFL's best teams since the start of the season. All right, and Lamar Jackson is without a doubt going to win MVP this year. Brock Purdy, he's going to finish as the runner-up, and he should be. All right, this performance doesn't take away from what he's done this season, but Lamar Jackson, clearly watching this game, was without a doubt the best player in this game, and he was the most valuable player on the field. And if you want an example of how valuable Lamar Jackson is to the Ravens, look up what happened to their previous 2 seasons when he got injured. Before he got injured, the last 2 years, 2022, 2021, they were either the 1 or 2 seed midway through the season. Then he goes down and their season goes down with it. This is Lamar Jackson's best opportunity to win the Super Bowl. He's what, 20-1 against the NFC? At this point in his career, do you not know the level of dominance Lamar Jackson has displayed against the opposing conference? The only conference that really has a shot at keeping this dude from winning a Super Bowl is, you know, the AFC when he isn't healthy. When Lamar Jackson is healthy and the Ravens get into the playoffs, they're a tough out for anybody. No matter if Patrick Mahomes has a fully functional squad or if Joe Burrow is fully healthy and has a complete team. This version of Lamar Jackson is better than the version that won MVP in 2019, unanimously, by the way. And this should be an easy, unanimous MVP selection for Lamar Jackson. The most valuable player in the NFL means that if you take that player off said team, they wouldn't be able to have that same level of success without him. The Ravens the last 2 years haven't had Lamar Jackson around this time of the season. And it's been a big reason why they haven't been able to make deep playoff runs in the past. Hell, they were fortunate enough that they even snuck into the wild card round last year and barely managed to lose to Cincinnati. So Lamar Jackson this year, you got a Chiefs team that's depleted. You got no Joe Burrow. Your biggest threat is Josh Allen. And that's about it. I like the Ravens' chances of being able to win it all this season. And like I said, going all the way back to August when I did my record predictions, I said that the AFC was going to come down to either Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow got injured, so by default, it was going to Lamar. San Francisco is still a very great team, and I would love to see this game played again in the Super Bowl because I don't think that it's going to go the same way twice that it did Monday night on Christmas. There were 4 turnovers in this game by Brock Purdy, and he's not really a turnover-prone player. And if Brock Purdy was to play this game a second time, I strongly would doubt that he would have the same amount of interceptions as he did in this game. This isn't the first time we've seen Brock Purdy have an awful performance. He stunk it up against the Browns. He stunk it up when they lost Monday night to the Minnesota Vikings. But this was the worst performance that he's had up to this point of his career. But he isn't a player that consistently doesn't show up in big games. All right, Brock Purdy is still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL based on what we've seen him put on display this season. And one terrible performance against the best team in the NFL doesn't demean what Brock Purdy means to San Francisco's team. And I'm going to dive a little bit more into how I feel about people discrediting Brock Purdy, saying that he got exposed, saying that he got overrated. Like, I got a lot of things to say about that. But Baltimore, if you thought that they were going to get destroyed by the 49ers, you must not have been watching a lot of Baltimore Ravens football. Their closest loss was to the Rams. And then they had a disappointing showing when they lost to the Cleveland Browns, but that was a game when they self-imploded on themselves. Well, Lamar has no turnovers, and the Ravens are playing their best football. Receivers are catching passes. The defense isn't having any blown coverages. This is a tough team to beat. They're great on both sides of the football, not too many weaknesses, and they're very phenomenal up front on the line of scrimmage, offensive line and defensive line. And there aren't too many teams in the National Football League this season who have displayed the level of dominance that the Ravens have showed for the entirety of this season, pretty much. There was a point when the 49ers were on, a 3-game losing streak? And people were questioning how legitimate they were as Super Bowl contenders? You look at Baltimore, they haven't had those same issues. This team has been dominant since week 1. Now, all of a sudden, the national media finally wants to give the Baltimore Ravens some props. You want to give Lamar Jackson some credits. No, you should have been giving Lamar Jackson some credit after he won MVP in 2019. It's taken several years later for people to finally realize that Lamar Jackson is a fantastic quarterback. You know, like, if you talk about some of the most hated players in the National Football League, Lamar Jackson is up there. I've never seen a dude get so much hate just for being an elite quarterback. Oh, he can't throw. Oh, he's a running back. Like, shut the fuck up. Please. Excuse my French, but honestly, if you're still somebody throwing out these stupid narratives, I want you to please stop talking. Because at this point, you're a hater. Lamar Jackson has always been a really good thrower of the football. And he's always been an elite quarterback. The only thing that has held back Lamar from playing at the level that he's played this season has been the offensive coordinator. Which shows you just how important hiring the right guys on your staff is. The casual fan overlooks who's the offensive coordinator, who's the defensive coordinator. You know, like, a lot of people are seeming like they're surprised about how this game went. And I'm a little surprised that the Ravens won this convincingly. But I've never questioned what the final outcome was going to be. You can go back and watch my preview and prediction for that Ravens 49ers game. I told y'all I'm picking the Ravens because I'm rocking with Lamar. I trust Lamar, and he came through tonight.